Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and this is Create Your Own Cozy. On this week's video, I'm gonna go into my retail space that I was brave enough to show you guys last week. It's a space that I am going to be working through while I'm fasting from thrifting for the first quarter of this year. I'm grabbing 17 items, marrying them together to create items to either reuse in my home for some spring decor or bring to my booth to resell. If you want to see what I do and come up with, stick around. As you can see, I grabbed a laundry basket and went shopping in my stash. The basement is super cold this week, so I just went in my bins that had some candlesticks and some plates, and obviously you can see I grabbed a little bit of everything so that I could get upstairs and see all the things that I wanted to marry together. I specifically was going to work on risers because I noticed when I was in my booth last week that I needed some ways to kick things up in my vignettes, and my risers had been selling and I needed to make some more. So let's go ahead and get started with project number one. Now, these aren't necessarily risers, but I am using candlesticks that were around $1 to $2 a piece in my stash, along with some birdhouses. One I bought, one was from a Home Depot craft project that my kid made and painted. Going to just saw the little end of this off and then paint all the pieces white Swan for starters. This was solid wood under this one, but I didn't like the way it was painted. It wasn't consistent. And then this one I thought it'd be nice to kind of wet distress and have some of that green come back through. So I'm going for different looks for both of these birdhouses, but starting with basic white for everything. And this very bright birdhouse did require about 2.5 coats to get it to be fully covered. After I painted 2 coats on everything, I did wet distress with a wet paper towel and then did a top coat with Big Top to seal it all in. DIY paint does need to be sealed in. Next, the part of the birdhouse where my kid used a hammer and nail, you could still kind of see the nails popping out. So I'm using the Christmas tree mold from IOD. This was part of their Christmas release. I love the little swag parts. So I'm using some DAS clay that I got from Hobby Lobby. You can also get that on Amazon. I will link that in the description below. I'm just putting some cornstarch in the mold, putting the air dry clay in. Then I am taking some TIghtbond quick and thick and just gluing it while the mold or while the clay is still wet. You can see those little nails right there, and I'm just covering them up and letting this dry before I cover this with a layer of white paint as well. While I'm waiting for the clay to dry, I'm going to work on wet distressing the bases. The one with the green underneath, I'm just using a wet paper towel. The wooden one, I'm using some sandpaper so you can see that wood come back through. For the former Home Depot birdhouse, I wanted to use some decoupage paper on it. This is Monarchchromatic from JRV, but they also make it with a smaller scale in the rice paper. So I decided to go with the rice paper, but I just love this pattern and it is available on my website at createyourowncozy.com. This is the JRV. This is the rice paper that I'm using, and it comes in the bigger decoupage paper as well. So I'm just kind of creasing where I want it to go and cutting a little bit over where the crease is. It's always easier to cut more than to have too much cut off. And then I'm letting the sides hang over so I can just sand those off. I'm using DIY's liquid patina as a decoupage medium, and there's no rhyme or reason. I just decided to paint the back of the paper this time instead of painting the project. And then I'm going over the top of it to kind of seal it in like decoupage and wait for that to completely dry before I go over the edges with sandpaper. And for the little hole, I just use a knife because I happen to be in the kitchen to get the paper out and then just clean it up with the little sandpaper thing. Now, you can see this is kind of taking on a different look. If hindsight, I would not have painted the whole thing white if I knew this was the paper I was going with. I decided, you know what, let's just go with this. I normally don't love yellow, but I do love cake batter from DIY paint, and I thought I was going to dry brush the yellow, and then I was like, you know what? No, I'm just going to paint the whole thing solid yellow. When I originally started painting, I was like, okay, let's just paint all the edges this yellow because it goes really well with the paper. And this birdhouse was kind of telling me what it wanted to be, right? And I thought, well, I'm going to put white wax over the top of it, and decided in the end just to leave it this nice yellow. I did seal it with liquid patina so it had a more matte sheen into it. Then I married the tops and the bottoms with E6000 glue for the permanent and hot glue for the temporary so it would stick immediately. What do you guys think? For project number 2, I'm going to make 2 risers out of candlesticks and the little basket, the small plates that I showed you in the beginning. This one right here, I believe I paid $2 for it. I'm going to do 2.5 coats of white Swan just because it is covering such a dark color. And then I'm going to wet distress this one and cover it in Big Top to seal it in. And then the second candlestick, I did not paint at all. It was an ivory ceramic, and I just left that one as is. Next, I'm going to grab these little small plate baskets that I thrifted a while back. I have used them before on risers, and those risers have sold. So in my past risers, I had these little guys up, but I did not like or love the shape of these particular ones that I had thrifted. I felt like they looked a little wonky when I had them sitting up. So for this one, I decided to turn them the opposite direction. So I attached both of these, and then I decided I have sold all my little cloches. I got this little candle topper, and then this is a little piece of wood that I sawed off the top of that other candlestick that I used for the birdhouse, and it fit perfect in the top like a little knob. E6000, glued that in, and I have a cloche. What do you guys think of these projects? For project number 3, I'm going to marry some brass bases that I have in my stash from a thrift store with wooden tops. I love to get soy candles from Home Goods, but when I go get those candles, I always make sure they have really cute wooden tops. So this just happened to fit in there perfectly. Marriage made in heaven, I'm just going to say it. So I'm just taking this little handle off the top. I will deal with those holes. I'm going to sand so it's nice and smooth. I wish I would have gone in the direction of the wood at first. Um, Here is something I regret. The one on the right, I wish I would have just left it as is. Don't stain it. Oh well. So I did. I used Dark and Decrepit over it, took the little plastic out, and then I was like, well, you can't really see the little bee on the top very much anymore. So after that, I rubbed out the Dark and Decrepit. Then I tried to go over it with white wax. Then I needed to do this other one because I had sanded it the wrong way and I wanted to kind of cover that up. So I'm happy that I stained this one. So I stained it, wiped it back, and then I grabbed some scrap. This is not IOD transfers. It is from a kit I got a long time ago. I don't even know how to tell you to get it, but use your scraps, guys. Like, go save your scraps and use your scraps. And because I covered up the little holes really easily, and I made a really, really cute top on this one. I use E6000 to permanently attach these pieces, which is what I'm using in all of my projects today. I used the plastic to burnish the top end to make sure it was really adhered to the wood. And then now I'm back to this problem child. See, I put white wax over it. Went back over it with Dark and Decrepit so it would be a little less white, and I kind of like stained the white wax, if that makes sense. I glued it, I put it in my booth. If it sells, cool. It is not my favorite. I wish I would have just left it the raw wood, quite honestly. If it doesn't sell, I can always paint the whole thing, I don't know, apothecary, and maybe put white wax on it. We shall see how that goes. I have these little risers in my booth for $12 a piece, and to be able to get it out of my inventory and marry two pieces that were about $1 a piece, make a video on them, and get it out of my stash. I like how it updates the look in my booth and gets stash out. Project number 4 is going to be quick and easy. I had thrifted this little ceramic thing for 50 cents and thought it would look nice as the top of a riser. I had this wooden one that it appears I paid $2 for. I wish I would have got that half off, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just taking all the sticky off the bottom, and then I'm going over the wood with white wax. Just wanted a little bit different look for this one. So white wax, rubbed it back a little bit, then glued the ceramic on the top with E6000, and done with this riser. For my 5th and final project this week, I am marrying a little candlestick with a little tiny bowl that was originally Threshold from, I believe, Target. I did $1 on the candlestick, 50 cents on the little bowl. Originally, I was going to go two-toned. So I was going to paint the bottom with white Swan and then have the bowl be just the solid wood. But the bowl was already kind of striped and I didn't like the look of that. So I just went ahead and painted the bowl distressed, wet distressed, both of them, so that they had a similar look to look like they always belong together. And then I was like, let's put this existing nest. Oh, wait, let's try a more organic look. So I used my air dry clay to make some little tiny eggs, and then I used this moss, which I had thrifted, but you know you can get this at the dollar store. Man, what a mess. So I hot glued the moss in the bottom, and then I also hot glued the cute little eggs, just left them their natural white color, which is how they dried. And think that this little nest riser is so precious, especially when you put it next to the all white birdhouse riser that I made in this week's video. Gonna be staying with me. What do you guys think of this one? So what did you guys think? Did you have a favorite? I don't know. I'm pretty sure that little white birdhouse and the little pedestal with some bird eggs in it, that is probably going to be sticking in my dining room. I think it is so precious together. And you know what? Maybe I'll just babysit it for this season. And if I'm over it next season, I'll put it in my booth next year. So let me know in the comments below, did you guys get encouraged to go through the stuff that you already have purchased from a thrift store, that you're like, this would be cool for something, I just don't know what? Take a look at them, pull them together, and see what you can come up with. Maybe just give yourself a little challenge of grabbing 10 items and seeing if you could make something out of that. If you guys are new here, please consider subscribing, hitting that notification bell to all, and something that I always forget to ask you guys, if you guys are always here, please consider sharing my channel with people you love, people you think that would love me. That would really help me grow and meet my goals for this year. This weekend, today is Thursday. I just went to my booth. I think I brought around 15 items. I said I was gonna bring 10 items. 10 items or more every time I go to my booth. That will make me grab stuff. I am leaving tomorrow morning to go up to the mountains for the weekend with 2 of my friends. They are not my therapists, but they are therapists. So it is always a very restorative weekend to hang out with these ladies, to just be myself and have a blast. I am looking forward to being restored. I know I just came back from the beach, but we had Monday off, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and then in Georgia it was like 17 degrees, so obviously we have to cancel school, right? So we had 2 solid days with, let's just say, some upset kids. And maybe even an upset mama. So I already need a little breather, and I'm looking forward to this time away. It has been cold here. I am in the basement right now, but you will notice in my video this week, I brought everything upstairs because it has been really cold here. For this native Floridian, 17 degrees is very cold. So thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you. I am thankful for you. Something that I forgot to share in last week's video. Do I have a word for this year? And I have been going back and forth about what my word should be. And I think the word that I'm landing on, I guess if I'm saying it, it's the word I'm landing on, is simplify. Simplify my routines, simplify my stash, simplify my yeses and my nos. Also my my calendar and what I'm committing myself to. I just need to simplify and remember what the priorities right now are. I obviously want to grow my business, but my girls are 9, 12, 14. And guys, they are growing up so fast. I'm gonna throw this little picture in here. I shared this over on Facebook. This was 9 years ago. And boy, Facebook has a way of reminding you how fast the kiddos grow. My husband instituted a get along shirt for this particular day. You can see my oldest Piper she's just beside herself. She is so upset that she has to be in the shirt. But little one Hadley, or my middle one now, she's just like, what's the big deal? Like, I just thought this was a good picture to show perspective. They are in the same situation. The oldest thinks her life is over. The middle one is going, well, what's going on here? She's pretty upset. Should I be upset? Kind of just like being inquisitive. And I think that's a good reminder to show you that the situation can be exactly the same, but your perspective about it can be completely different. So let's choose a perspective that sees hope, sees possibilities, and sees the good in things. So I am thankful for you guys. I look forward to seeing you guys next week, and I hope you have a great weekend. Bye, friends.